What is up, my friends? Welcome to this All-Star Week special episode of Flippin' Bats. I just got back from Dallas or Arlington, early morning, got back here, ready to rock. Grind doesn't stop. What a week it was down there. Home run derby, All-Star game, obviously all that stuff. I was also down there doing a lot of other work. So we have we have a lot to talk about. Also, John Smoltz left, made it back home, and joined us here on Flippin' Bats for this All-Star Week special episode. So instead of him being Saturday, figured, well, the All-Star game just ended. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about it in this episode. So he's going to join later on. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about. The National Anthem, going to talk about that. Was in the stands. That was wild. Some comments from Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani that might hold a little bit of weight in the baseball world and might have a little bit of effect on the future. We'll talk something there. Home run derby. We got a lot to discuss there. Bobby Witt Jr., Alec Boehm, Teoscar Hernandez, and his teammates not really being there the second time around for him. All-Star game. Skenes on the mound. We got a Skenes Judge, AB. Man, there's a lot. Let's talk about it. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I had an absolute blast down there. Was there doing a lot of work for T-Mobile. Ended up hosting a Q&A for them where over the week I talked to Bobby Witt Jr., day of the Derby, talked to him, talked to Corey Seager, Frank Thomas, Prince Fielder, Adrian Beltre on All-Star Game Day. Talked to him. Did not know he was going to hop out of a horse and buggy on the field and be introduced that way a little while later. Talked to Adrian Beltre, Cole Hamels, Elvis Andrews. It really was a lot of fun to host and to do all of that and then just walk over to the stadium. I thought the Rangers and Major League Baseball did a great job with the All-Star game there. Everything, look, it was really hot. Really hot. But everything was right on top of each other. You had the Fan Fest really close at Old Rangers Ballpark. You had the red carpet. You had Texas Live right there. And then obviously Rangers Stadium. It was all just really close and logistically great, which I learned to really love after the LA All-Star game a couple years ago. I mean, you had things going on at the stadium, you had things going on downtown, and you had things going on at the Santa Monica Pier. And in case you don't know a lot about LA, it's about an hour to get to each of those things. It's a nightmare. So to have everything right on top of each other was great. And then Monday headed over from Texas Live into the Derby and was immediately greeted with perhaps the worst national anthem of all time. So let me here was my perspective from the stands. We're all sitting there. I love a good national anthem. I do. I love it. I'm a sucker for anthems and fireworks and flyovers. It's great. And this is a big event. I was expecting a big national anthem. So you start listening and immediately you're just kind of thrown out of the moment. And everybody's just kind of looking at each other like, okay, she'll get warmed up. She'll get warmed up here. And it just never did. And by the end of it, we were all just like, was that a bit? Was that fake? Like, was that intentionally supposed to be that way? And then if you didn't see and you've been living under a rock, Ingrid Andress, the singer of the national anthem, who's a multi-time Grammy nominee, posted on social media saying that she's really sorry, she was drunk, and that she is going to rehab. Just a lot around the national anthem. And then there's a whole conversation that people want to start of, is this just a PR thing? Was it really is this a cover up? Is she going to rehab? It's all a nightmare of a situation. It was legitimately the worst national anthem that I've ever heard, but it would make sense if she just went out there drunk. But then it comes, who's letting her go out and do that? Who on her team, her people, her PR, her management, anybody with Major League Baseball that saw her, who is letting her, if she's that drunk, go out there and perform the national anthem? Well, go get them. Good luck. You got millions of people listening and watching you. Nope, shouldn't have happened. But if this, she comes out saying she's going to rehab and just to bad situation it turned out. So, but it sure was interesting. Certainly an interesting kickoff to the home run derby that happened. Home run derby day is also media day, media availability when they all go up and go out and sit in the outfield and in front of their name behind them, almost like it's a booth at a fair, like you're walking by and it's like a kissing booth or something. You just walk, they're just all there. Also, I've never seen a kissing booth in real life in the flesh. That's just what came to me. So you have all these guys sitting there, and one of my big takeaways from media availability is that the biggest stars in the game of baseball are all on the same page with something. You have Bryce Harper, you have Shohei Ohtani, you have Aaron Judge, all saying that they want to participate in the 2028 Olympics when it's in Los Angeles. So then it gets to be an interesting question of, well, wait a second. You have the game's biggest stars saying that they want to participate in something that happens in the middle of the season. It would be tricky to pull it off. Major League Baseball has said it's not going to happen. But now you have all these guys coming out and saying this, and it really makes me step back and think, well, maybe this should happen. And then obviously there's a million questions of how does it happen? What does it look like? The season's going to have to shut down for a little bit. But so I get from Major League Baseball's side why they don't want to do it, because obviously in the middle of summer, you're missing out on some valuable baseball. But to me, you have to think about the positives. And those positives are that you can grow the game of baseball exponentially by allowing these guys to be in the Olympics. It's in LA. It's the first U.S. Olympics in a long time. And you can have the game's biggest stars playing in it. I almost think it would be a no-brainer to pause the season for 10 days. Obviously, it's going to look different. You can start figuring it out now. Maybe it has to be a 152 game season. Maybe we have to adjust the schedule a little bit and fit in some double headers here and there, or lengthen the season. I don't know. I'm not paid to figure that out, but I do think it could be invaluable for the game of baseball to have these stars that want to play in the game on that stage in the Olympics globally, and that's how you can really grow the game. Grow it globally. This game has been growing and growing and growing globally over the last decade for sure. Look at how far the World Baseball Classic has come in all of its renditions, starting from the beginning to where it ended up recently. Think of how far it's come, and being able to do another baseball tournament on a huge global scale like the Olympics, man, if all the biggest stars are in, I think we got to do something about it. I think it would be awesome. So I really want to know what everyone thinks. This is just the top of my head. I haven't discussed this with anybody besides the Flippin' Bats community now. So I want to hear what you guys think. Talk about it let me know what you think on social media, on YouTube. Let me know right now. What do you think? Should Major League Baseball season stop down and allow its biggest stars to go into the Olympics? Let me hear it. So that was fun from that day. Then we got to Home Run Derby Day. Then the Home Run Derby began. You had a bunch of guys doing it for the first time. And really, one of my big takeaways was how good Bobby Witt Jr. was. I did not expect him to be as good as he was, obviously making it all the way to the finals. A couple feet from tying it up in the finals. That was the best part of all of this. That final round was great. Love seeing that from Bobby Witt Jr. Teoscar Hernandez winning it, absolutely crushed it out there. He was really good. My big takeaway from Teoscar Hernandez was this. You know, every time a batter takes his time out, you have his teammates all coming up and surrounding him and helping him and toweling him off and giving him some Gatorade or water or whatever it is. And I was a little disappointed in his Dodgers All-Star teammates. They were there for his first time out, and then Teo gets to the finals of the Home Run Derby, and Tyler Glasnow is the only one there. So I was just a little disappointed in that, from that perspective of them not being there for their teammate. And look, I I get it. I get it. I understand. players leave, players get out, players go do a dinner with their families and all that stuff. But you have a teammate of yours that's making a push, and that just feels part of it to stick around. And look at to contrast the Phillies and what they did. The Phillies have some superstars that weren't participating in the home run derby. Alec Bohm was participating, but had some superstars and Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, and Alec Bohm made it a good bit into the home run derby, and all of them stayed. All of their stars, all of their all-stars were there for him. And I just found that to be interesting, and probably a bit of a broader discussion there is just the difference of teammates and camaraderie. And look, I might be looking too much into it. I might be thinking too much into it. There might be nothing there. But to me, you have teammates that left in the middle of a what ended up being a championship run for your home run derby winning teammate left, and then you have on the contrast Phillies teammates that stood there every step of the way. Alec Bohm was talking about how close the team is, what their camaraderie is like as a team, and how it's just different than anything he's ever experienced. And they're playing such great baseball, and they're all playing well to do it for each other. And it just feels like stepping back for a bit, you can see it. You can see the difference of what's happening in Philly. This team is different. This Philadelphia Phillies team is built differently. The locker room is different. The roster on the field is absolutely built to win a World Series. And to hear all the teammates talk about it and not just say that, it's easy to say, yeah, we're a really tight-knit group. But to see it, to see the players stick around when maybe before they were like, yeah, we'll get out of here after, first round, we can dip. No, they all stuck around, stayed around, were there for Alec Bohm. Bohm talked about it. It feels like it's different in Philly right now. And I thought it was really, really cool to see. But that was one thing that stood out to me. Dodgers left. Tyler Glasnow was there. Juan Soto came over, which is a whole different thing. Juan Soto also said that he wants to play with Shohei Ohtani. He also went up and was part of the little group with Teoscar Hernandez as he was going through. So I don't know. I mean, I do know there's probably not a world in which the Dodgers can pay Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani, but I mean, he's pretty vocal about it, and it was interesting to see that for sure. So those are some of my takeaways from being there for seeing the home run derby. Also, the format. I do want to talk about the format. I'm not exactly sure the response that it got on social media because I was there and trying to pay attention. I thought it was better than what we've had, just because look, I hitting 30 plus homers in a round, like I get it. It's the home run derby, but you can only see but so many. Quite literally, you can only see but so many, especially with the format over the last few years. You can't watch everything because of the timer, because of how fast they're trying to go. You legitimately can't watch everything. And that's kind of the beauty of the Derby for me, is seeing guys hit 500-foot homers and watching them and watch them admire it. So I thought this home run Derby was a good combination of what we've had and what we had in the past, which was 10 outs, homer or an out, and that's it. The negative of that was the timing aspect. Guys would just take until they got the perfect pitch, and it would just take forever, which is why the timer was implemented. And this format kind of felt like a good median of the two. What I would love to see in my perfect world is going back to the old format, 10 outs, homer or an out, that is it. But implementing something like you're only allowed to take but so many pitches. And then that gets interesting because, well, one, get the right BP thrower. You shouldn't be that all over the place. And two, like, it doesn't allow them to zero in on the perfect pitch and it take forever. That's how I think we could have the ultimate combination and really find a sweet spot for this. Because the best part of this home run derby was the bonus outs at the end, which was that old format. I loved it. That part didn't take forever. I really liked that part. And the big thing for me is just getting the superstars to be a part of it. I know Shohei wants to be a part of it. I think the Dodgers had something to say about that this year. But getting Ohtani, getting Judge, getting the game's biggest stars in the home run derby. But I did like the format and think it got closer to where it needs to be. So that was Derby Day, fun day. And then the next day was the All-Star game. I was back over doing some stuff for T-Mobile early in the day. All-Star game, woke up kind of pissed off, kind of disappointed that we weren't absolutely 100% guaranteed a Paul Skenes versus Aaron Judge at bat. So I got mad at Bruce Bochy. I got mad at him for not putting Judge in the top three of the lineup. And then I got mad at him for not making Tarek Skubal the starting pitcher for the American League, which I thought was deserved. I love Corbin Burns. I love having him on the show. I love talking to him. He's a great dude and absolutely deserving of being an all-star, being in Cy Young contention at the moment. I just think Tarek Skubal has been the best pitcher in the game of baseball and could have and should have started the All-Star game. So anyway, I digress. We did not get him starting the game, but we did end up getting a Paul Skenes versus Aaron Judge at bat. Was really looking forward to watching Paul Skenes take the mound. One thing that I told you Smoltz is coming on this episode. One thing that he talks about is Paul Skenes and how impressed he was with him. And Smoltz has always talked about him and how impressive he looks. But to see him in person is a different thing. So I'm excited to talk to him about that and hear what he has to say about being able to see Paul Skenes up close and personal. Obviously, no runs in that first inning, dominated, didn't really get not the punch out totals and striking out the side, but just throwing over 100, looked nasty. The dude is an absolute superstar. So that was one of the things I talked about in last week's episode and previewing the All-Star game. I said, Paul Skenes, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing if he's going to dominate that first inning. He did. I'm looking forward to seeing Shohei Ohtani because it's his first All-Star game as just a hitter, and I guarantee you he's going to hit a homer. And what do you know? Dude hits an absolute bomb to right field. Homer, 3 RBIs. National League ends up losing 5-3. So every single RBI that the team had, Shohei Ohtani did. Look, we're getting to the point where if you're not expecting Shohei to do something on a massive stage, you're wrong. And that's why I'm excited to see him in the playoffs this year is because, look, All-Star game, Homer, if the National League wins, he's obviously the MVP. They didn't end up winning, and they would have needed more to happen. So I digress. Shohei dominated that game. World Baseball Classic. Dominated in the World Baseball Classic. Wanted the ball on the biggest stage against Mike Trout in the 9th inning of the finals. Punched out Mike Trout. Every big stage that this guy has been on, he comes through. And that's why I'm excited to watch him in the playoffs this year. What a superstar. This is the greatest talent that the game of baseball has ever seen. People get so up in arms when I say this. So up in arms. I tweeted it shortly after he hit the homer. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player we've ever seen. And people just get so mad. Look, there's a list of people in the game of baseball. There is a list of people. You could probably find 5 names of people and say, no, they're the greatest of all time. But people just get so up in arms and saying, well, no, that's not true. I'm not saying that right now Shohei Ohtani has accomplished the most and is considered. No, what I'm saying is that he's the greatest talent that we've ever seen. If he continues doing what he's doing for, I don't know, 3 to 5 more years at minimum, then I think he'll go down as the greatest player of all time. Can he go down as the greatest right now when he's not that far into his career? No, obviously there's much more decorated people. But in terms of talent, this is the greatest talent we've ever seen. And I think to this point in his career, he's the greatest baseball player that I've ever seen. He's the greatest baseball player that most people listening or watching have ever been able to lay eyes on. And the reason I say that, it's not because I'm sitting here saying Shohei Ohtani is a better hitter than Aaron Judge, is a better hitter than Barry Bonds, is a better hitter than Ted Williams. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a whole different dynamic to his game that people don't really like to mention. They like to talk about the one thing he's doing, But really, when it comes time to argue the whole point, they forget the fact that he's also an all-star pitcher and can dominate on the mound. And I get people know that. Everyone knows he's a two-way guy. But when I say something like he's the greatest player we've ever seen, all the arguments come in of, well, what about Barry Bonds? What about Ted Williams? Oh, he's not even the best player on the field. Aaron Judge, best blah, blah, blah. I'm not comparing them as hitters. And if we wanted to do that, and I think Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time, so I'm not going to do that. But if you wanted to compare Shohei and Aaron Judge, there's at least a legitimate conversation. I mean, they are pretty neck and neck in terms of best hitters in the game of baseball. But as a whole, the player you get with Shohei Ohtani, he's the greatest player that I have ever seen, hands down. And on the biggest stage, hits a homer against an absolute stud of a pitcher. Tanner Houck has been unbelievable this year for the Red Sox, and Shohei just putting on an absolute show at the All-Star game, which I knew would happen. Called it in the preview episode. So that was cool to see. Jarren Duran hitting the massive game-winning homer for the American League, just showing out. What a great story Jarren Duran is. We actually talked about it recently, but you know, he's a guy that has gone through his mental struggles and has been very open about his battles. And to see him on this stage, one that he never imagined would happen, one that he said, I didn't think I'd be an all-star. I just thought I'd be a guy that nobody liked playing against because I do everything hard. I play the game the right way. And now he's an all-star, hitting the game-winning homer for the American League, winning the MVP of the 2024 All-Star game. It's one of my favorite stories of the year so far is how good he has been, what he's overcome to get to where he is. The shirt that he's been wearing that says F him with the asterisk for the U, it's F asterisk CK. And he's talking about, he literally said Major League Baseball does not want him wearing that shirt. And he said it's in regards to the demons that I battled when I was going through my mental struggles. And now he wears that undershirt. He wore it on his suit on the red carpet. It was underneath. When you open up the jacket, he had it there. So it is one of the best stories of the Major League Baseball season this year, if not the best. What a cool story for Jarren Duran winning All-Star Game MVP. Another thing afterwards, Paul Skenes stayed around the whole game, was there the whole time until the end, was interviewed after the game and was asked, what are you still doing here? Most people get up and get out of here and are gone by the fourth, fifth inning and get home and enjoy their off day for the All-Star break. And he said, no, this will be the only time to do what he did with the team that he had. So to start his first ever All-Star game with that team there from Tuesday, that'll be the only time that'll ever be able to happen. And he wanted to stay there and enjoy that and take that all in and pick their brains, everybody that he possibly could. This guy's a superstar. Paul Skenes is a superstar. He has the makeup to be a superstar. He obviously has the physical abilities to be a superstar, but I have loved everything this guy has done and said. And to see him in his, 11th MLB start? This guy was in the College World Series last year. His 11th MLB start came in the All-Star game. That is remarkable. So I just walked away from this week an even bigger fan of Paul Skenes, and that post-game interview was one of the cool moments. Another thing for me from the game, look, I've talked about this, the whole should every team have a representative thing. Right now, the answer in baseball is yes, every team needs a representative. Well, you have not many teams with only one representative. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are one of those teams, and that player didn't even get into the game. Tyler Anderson didn't even pitch in the All-Star game, and he's the one rep for the Angels. So if you're going to say every team needs a rep and it is going to cost other guys getting in, you got to get them in the game. That's pretty simple. You have to have them play. What's the point? I do understand the point. I do think we should do away with that, but I do understand the point. And the point is, well, every team needs to be represented. Every fan base needs to have a player there. Every fan base needs to be able to see their best player of the year pitch or play in the All-Star game. And that didn't even happen. He didn't get in the game. So what's the point? And to me, this should be the end of it. Go back to an all-star is an all-star. The stats you put on paper make you an all-star. When you look up at the end of a career or in the middle of a career, whatever you want to look it up and see how many times has this guy been an all-star, that means something. And it comes from the stats that you put up in the first half of the year. And if we're going to say every team needs a rep, at minimum, can we get them in the game? For the love of God, doesn't feel that crazy. Oh, man, the Angels only got one guy here. You're going to pitch sixth inning. I don't know. I'm not the manager, but get him in the game. Get him in the game. Simple. That was my thoughts there. And lastly, in terms of the All-Star game, before Smoltz joins us here shortly, the jerseys. The All-Star game jerseys. A lot of talking points. One, did we love them? Did we hate them? I didn't love them. They were they were interesting. And in case you didn't notice, the theme of the All-Star game was the All-Star game was played in Texas. In case you didn't know, they really threw out a bunch of horses. They really threw out cowboys with lassos. They really threw out some wagons. The red carpet, you had to open like Western style, like barn doors to get out there. And then the jerseys were meant to look like these old Western themed jerseys. So in case you didn't understand, the game was in Texas. Okay. These jerseys were designed to look like that. I didn't love them. But the larger scale discussion for me is that I think we should go back to the classic, which is during the game, the players wear their team uniform. Aaron Judge is wearing a Yankees uniform. Shohei Ohtani is wearing a Dodgers uniform. Tyler Anderson is wearing an Angels uniform. Everybody is wearing the uniform of the team that they're representing. I think that's beautiful. I think it's fun looking out onto the field and seeing that. And what I always like to do is think of the other side. I'm not always just up here just basically saying things. I like to see the other side. And for Major League Baseball's side, I get it. And if we're being realistic about it, it's probably financial. It's probably a financial decision to every year come up with a new All-Star game jersey and sell them and have them fly off the racks like they always do. So this probably results in not as much money being made. So here's my thought. Here's what I think we do. Still make the jerseys. Next year's in Atlanta. I'm excited for the next two. Next year's in Atlanta. The one after that is in Philadelphia. Some great ones coming up. Make jerseys. Still have All-Star game jerseys and have the players wear them in everything they do. In BP, in maybe the home run derby, in media availability, in pregame stuff. I don't care, but have it be a big part of the week. But then when it becomes game time, the players go get dressed and they put on their uniforms and they take the field. Just, man, the thought of even looking out at the field and seeing the American League lineup take the field and seeing Aaron Judge and Juan Soto out there rocking the same New York Yankees uniform and seeing, looking around the field and Jose Ramirez is wearing a Guardians uniform and just the ability to be able to have it look so awesome out there, I think isn't that far off. The commissioner, Rob Manfred, did talk about it and say that they hear the fans loud and clear, and it might be happening. It could happen soon. So we'll see, but that's my thoughts. I get it's a financial decision, most likely. Nobody's told me that, but still have them be a part of it. I'd still want one. Make the players wear them all the time, but when it becomes game time, put on those regular classic uniforms. So last couple of days have been quite a whirlwind. Honestly, it has been great. I absolutely love being able to do what I do and hopefully just grow the game of baseball and be around it and to fly in for the Derby and the All-Star game and to do work there and to record an episode from there from the hotel room and then for the game to end and get right back to Los Angeles to come back and talk about it. I love every bit of this. I love the game of baseball so much, and hope you all enjoy that as well. And you know who was also there in Dallas or Arlington for the All-Star game? John Smoltz, good friend of ours, friend of the pod. Every single week comes on, every single Saturday. We do Saturday with Smoltz. Not this week. All-Star game just wrapped up. He's also going up for the Hall of Fame inductment of Adrian Beltre and Joe Mauer, and that's going to be a great weekend up there. So had him on early. He just got back from the All-Star game. We had a lot to discuss. Let's not wait. Let's do it. Let's get John Smoltz on this week. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about these uniforms. We were just talking about what he thinks about with the uniforms. Paul Skenes on the mound. He also compares Bobby Witt Jr. and Gunnar Henderson and who he would want forever, and a real hot take, real bold prediction from John Smoltz for the second half of the season. So without further ado, let's welcome in, as we do every week, our friend, Hall of Famer, John Smoltz. All right, I am now pumped to be joined by the Hall of Famer, John Smoltz, as we are here every single week. Speaking of Hall of Fame, I think he's heading up there. I think you're heading up there this weekend, John, for the Hall of Fame announcements, right?
I am. Yeah, it's been a busy 2 weeks. Tahoe, then the All-Star game, and then the Hall of Fame. So it'd be fun 2 weeks.
Well, we last time we talked about the Pro-Am and you participating in that. So break it down for us. How'd it go? How was the week, and how did you do?
Well, unfortunately, the first 2 rounds follow in the same formula that I have always been. I give away too many points. Round two did me in. I was in the mix after round one. Marty Fish made 9 birdies in round two, just absolutely separated the field. And then I should have made 10 on Sunday. I made 7 birdies to finish fourth. So I got still enough sour taste in my mouth on some plays and some action that I need to clean up. But all in all, I rallied back on Sunday, and could have been something special. But I'm still searching for that first win at Tahoe.
It'll come. It'll come soon enough. Let's talk All-Star game. We were both there. We're talking right after we get back. I'm back in LA. You're back home before you head up to the All-Star game. So, a couple questions about it. One, I think one of the bigger talking points over the last couple of years outside of the game itself has been the jerseys. This year, love them or hate them, definitely had a lot of conversations going about them. So, what I want to ask you is what do you think about the jersey? Should we keep going with these, custom every year All-Star game jerseys depending on where it is, or should we go back to the classics? Every team, every player wears their team jersey. What do you think?
I think we should go back to the classic. Like you said, I would have rather been a national leaguer with that uniform style than the American League. It did not. I mean, I'm sure. Look, I've said this before. We all get dressed in the morning, look in the mirror, and go, "I got it going on." Until we get outside and people go, "Really? Like you're wearing that?" And so that's kind of the feeling. I mean, some people might have thought it was color scheme was good, but I think in Atlanta, I heard a little rumor maybe they might go back to wearing the jersey tops, and I just think that's for the newer fan, for the younger fan. They have no idea watching the game who's who.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a right answer, but I would love to see the team represented at least from the top jersey and the name in the All-Star game.
I'm assuming a lot of it has to do with the money that can be made off of All-Star game jerseys each year, which is kind of why my thought becomes make those jerseys, keep them, have the players wear them for BP,
Yeah.
have them wear them for everything they do besides the game. When the game starts, go back to the classic jerseys. You can still make money on new All-Star game jerseys, and then the All-Star game looks clean with their home jerseys. That's kind of my thought.
I agree. Look, I never in my 8 All-Stars, I was able to, have my jersey represented, which was really cool. I don't remember on game day doing anything other than that. But you're right. On batting practice day, there was a different
Yeah.
jersey. So we'll see. It definitely it definitely was a conversation topic to say the least.
So you were there calling the game with Joe Davis and a part of a lot of things over the course of All-Star Week, but obviously calling the game and being a part of it. So what I want to ask is it's kind of a broad question, but what was your favorite thing that happened in the All-Star game this year? Something in the game, something over the course of the week, but what was your favorite thing that happened?
Well, I was very excited to watch Paul Skenes, and I think pitching live is different than watching film. And I've watched some film on him. He is extraordinary. I think he's got a chance to be one of the best pitchers in the game, if not already. And it didn't last very long, but I really wanted to see him against Judge,
Yeah.
and it was one pitch. But I'm a big fan of watching him do what he does with the mechanics he has. Obviously, everyone's going to be concerned about long-term health, but he could throw a game, and I can't say this for a lot of pitchers, but he could throw a game with all four-seam fastballs or a four-seamer and a two-seamer and just do fine. So that tells you the electricity he has. I was also uh, Mr. Miller for the Oakland A's throwing
No.
102, 103, easy gas. So there's velocity in our game, and then there's extra velocity,
Yeah.
and we got a chance to see those play out in the All-Star game. And look, I mean, the guys that have to hit, sometimes you get the matchup nightmare. It's just timing. I know Yelich had the mic on. He's like, great, I had to face these two hard throwing lefties. But in the end, the game is fully represented by obviously some young stars, so many under the age of 28. And then I caught myself feeling like if I had to start a team at shortstop between Bobby Witt Jr. and Henderson, who would I pick? It's a great discussion. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both have power. One has a lot more speed. One's left-handed, which is unique as a shortstop. And I think those are the kind of things when you look at an all-star game and you see who's going to be there a lot. Those are pretty cool moments too.
Well, where'd you land in that conversation between Gunnar Henderson and Bobby Witt Jr.? It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I would be hard pressed to pass up on his speed and Bobby Witt Jr. But let's just say, given where they're playing, and let's say they're going to play there for the next 10 years, it'd be hard to not take the power of Henderson in that
Yeah.
short left right field porch. I mean, left field's 380, so they both play in the perfect parks. You got the speed of Witt and the hit
Yeah.
ability that he can utilize the bases, and then you've got the power for Henderson, which is unique. I mean, the comparisons to Cal Ripken Jr. are just off the charts. They're
Yeah.
so eerily similar. So I don't think there's a wrong decision. But with as many right-handed pitchers in the league, I might be tempted to take Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson is a massive human. I did not realize how big he is. He is probably close to my height. I'm 6'4". He's jacked. He's a young dude, but he is huge.
He is, and his skills at shortstop. I mean, everyone's going to look at his hit ability. He made some great plays, and
Yeah.
his shortstop playing days obviously are premier position. So I love seeing both of them play in the game.
I want to ask you about Skenes again real quick because you said you've watched film on him, but it's different watching him in person. John, you're obviously one of the greatest to ever do it. And hearing you after you say, yeah, I watched him, he didn't pitch for that long. You watched him throw one inning and said some pretty impressive things about him and how impressed you are with him and how he could be one of the game's best, if not already that. What did you see in his short amount of time that makes you be extremely impressed with him?
Well, the one thing I know it's only one inning, but he didn't get outside of himself in the big moment. It would have been real easy to kind of jerk a lot of fastballs trying to throw
Yeah.
him 102. I feel like he's composed, and obviously college helped that. Being a college pitcher, very polished, been through the big moments. And I think his unique arm release and the way that he throws a baseball makes it difficult with that split finger slash sinker that he throws. That ball tumbles, and I also loved that he was throwing a football before he started a game, which I think is one of those things that I've been a fan of. So there are some unique things he did when he was warming up. He had some huge thing on his back. It looked
Yeah.
like a weighted, doing these a lot of things that, maybe are outside of my scope of the new age kind of training. But at 6'6" and a big frame, if he stays within his mechanics, he can stay healthy. Um, Everybody's concerned, and everybody rightfully should be concerned about the future when a guy throws that hard. But he's got a chance to clean up his slider. I think his slider is maybe his third best pitch. Changeup is really good. Sinker's good. I just think to come on the scene, be 6-0, start the All-Star game, and do what he did, even though it's just one inning, it was impressive.
I believe the number was 11, but I think it's his 11th start ever in the big leagues, and it came in the All-Star game, which is incredible.
Now, the interesting thing will be, how do they manage the second half? They're in striking distance of a postseason play, and Pittsburgh and their fan base has got to be thinking, we are in a good spot. Let's get going. We're not that far out. So I think the second half is going to be must-see TV in the National League. There's going to be some major disappointments on teams that do nothing. And then there's going to be some surprises where you go, whoa, I didn't see that. And now they become relevant.
Well, speaking of the second half, All-Star game is in the books. I need one bold prediction. What's your one bold prediction for the second half of the season?
Yeah, I just keep landing on Pittsburgh. I think the bold prediction for me, I said at the beginning of the year when we talked,
yeah, you did.
I think they're gonna be in the postseason. They got some unique and special players. Their pitching staff is starting to learn how to navigate the season. Look, there's been so many great surprises with the Milwaukee Brewers. It's really going to be, it's a weighted teeter-totter to see who makes that big splash move that is going to really tilt. We've never had an All-Star break where that many teams in the National League are in the hunt, and legitimately in the hunt, because the separator between the team that's in the wild card currently at the third spot and the eighth team is not that big.
Yeah.
And organizationally, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made on when they make that move. But I still maintain, I know it's still a long shot, but I think Pittsburgh is the scariest team to make the playoffs. And trust me, nobody wants to face them.
Do you believe in that front office and ownership enough for them to go all in and make the moves that need to be made?
No, but that's why I'm making a bold prediction, because I think it's time to do that and change gears and be relevant, because they have been building the future for a long time.
Yeah,
the future is now. And if you don't know anything that happened last year and you just fell off the face of the earth and showed up, and you looked at what the Arizona Diamondbacks did last year, you cannot tell me that any team that makes the playoffs is not capable of that same kind of run. So, there's obviously a lot of things that take place, but I still maintain Pittsburgh, if they get out of their mode of how they've run their operations in the last 5 years, they will shock some people and make a tremendous run to the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, John, you've been saying it for a long time. People talk about trying to build for these long windows. This is the game of baseball. If there's an opening in your window and you can win right now, and with a rotation, atop of the rotation like they have, it feels like that window might be starting to open, and go for it and try and win some ball games.
Absolutely.
This has been a lot of fun, John. Thank you so much for joining again. Have a great weekend up at the Hall of Fame. Talked to Adrian Beltre a little bit over the All-Star week. So he's going to obviously be up there, Joe Mauer. So it should be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a fun week, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. See you, John.
Yep.
All right. Just wanted to thank John Smoltz again for joining us, as he does every single week, and wanted to thank you all for listening these last couple of days, or watching. These last couple of days have been a whirlwind and an absolute blast, and it really does make me excited. I'm sitting there in the stands at the All-Star game thinking, man, what do I want to talk about in the next episode? How can we do this the best way possible? And let's get John Smoltz on for this All-Star game special episode. And it's just, I love doing this, and I'm so appreciative of every single one of you that listens. I had so many people at the All-Star game, at Home Run Derby, come up and say that they really love this show and listen to it. And I can't tell you how much that means. It means the world to me. It makes me emotional every time it happens. I love it. I will never get too used to it. I will never get used to it. It makes me so happy. So thank you all for listening. I hope you all enjoyed this All-Star Game special episode. What a week in Major League Baseball. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Also on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's all free. You can watch everything we do on YouTube. We put out everything we do on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Follow us all there. but we're putting some really cool stuff out, and I'm really hopeful and appreciative of you all for listening. So thank you all as always, and remember, until next time, my friends, find your bat and flip it.